Hey everyone, Deathmark here, and as I get my butt kicked, I want to ask a couple questions. Where do challenge runs begin, and where do they end? So, I was thinking of doing a fist-only challenge run, but the issue comes in that I don't have any fist weapons here. So, do I get a freebie? And then to kind of just walk by this boss, use my weapon, and then start as soon as I get the weapon? Or do I have to beat him by punching him in the butt with my fist, doing 2 damage when he has, I believe, 800 something health? So you've got 400 hits against this guy. It's gonna take a little bit of time here, but hopefully we can kind of get through it. I know there's a bunch of different types of challenge runs. Obviously, challenge runs with a specific like stat type you don't have to worry about because they don't have any specific weapons or anything that you can or can't use. But when you have specific weapons like Scythe, or if you have a specific weapon that is not available in a class, obviously bow is available, so you could do bow only. Scythe is not. I think there's also obviously fists. There's a few different kind of runs that to start out with you would literally have to go through and punch this guy, which can be very difficult, time consuming, and obviously you can die. So where would you say a fist only run specifically starts, or a scythe only run, or stuff like that? Or is it kind of up to the person? I don't know. That's just kind of what I'm curious about. Obviously, if you've got a weapon like that's available later in the game, you can't exactly kind of run through it and just wait for it, right? So some of those runs obviously should wait to probably New Game Plus or something like that, so that way you've got the weapon and you kind of start out from the beginning. So just kind of curious where people sit on that one. Right now I'm going towards fist only has to kind of fight the first boss with only your fist. If you don't have a fist weapon, you got to go barehanded. And if that's the case, I want to see which games are easiest and hardest to do this in. So I'm going to try it out with Dark Souls 3, Dark Souls 2, obviously Dark Souls Remastered, and then Elden Ring as well. Getting the access to the fist weapons and doing some of those entry beginning runs where I push for scythe only, bow only, and see how soon can you get the weapon, how many bosses do you have to fight mandatorily, or what bosses are mandatory, and just kind of taking a look at the different challenge runs that you see, such as intelligence only, strength only, and stuff like that, and seeing what challenge runs are actually the toughest, what are easier ones, and maybe just what entry level ones I should get into or not get into. Obviously there's ones like Deathless, which are a great run to do. I have not done a Deathless run. These are kind of only the beginning of my challenge runs and starting my challenge runs. So I'm still trying to figure out which ones I want to do, which ones may be easier to do, and then just kind of testing it out, you know? If I can get through 5, 10, 15 different challenge runs, we can rate which ones were the hardest to complete, which ones took me the longest, and then see kind of where we sit at. As long as you guys are interested. If you guys aren't interested, let me know that as well. But I want to level up as a Souls player, like I've said previously, and I feel like challenge runs are a great way to do it. Speed runs I'm not super confident in, but we can always give a try to those as well. just learning the different techniques and learning more about the games that I love so much. For now, it's just focusing on punching this boss in the butt and trying not to die. I've gotten him about halfway. I believe that I actually did kill him with fists only, but I wanted to give it another try. As soon as I kill him and some of these other Dark Souls bosses with fists only, I will not be doing it again. Like, I'm not gonna fight Gundyr 4 times for 4 different runs to try and get death, or trying to get fists only. It's gonna be a kind of a one-time deal. So even if I do Scythe only and stuff like that, I'm not gonna be fighting these first bosses with bare fists every time, because it's a long drawn out process and it just is not necessarily that fun for me. Doing 1 or 2 damage at a time, hitting them 400 times, you gotta be relatively careful, and sometimes I wonder how much challenge is not worth it, you know what I mean? Because if you're fighting a boss with 3,000, 4,000 health and you decide to use a weapon that does 2 damage and have to hit 1,500 times, like, why make it a 12-hour fight marathon? But that's just me. Maybe you guys feel differently. If you do, feel free to let me know. I might have to speed this up. It might end up being a long fight, but we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, obviously just staying behind this guy on his butt. He takes a lot of large swings and stuff like that, so you're able to kind of hide out behind him, not really worry too much. And then he goes up, does his butt slam. Just kind of walk away a little bit. Roll into that one. Butt slam again. He also does move a little forward when he's flying through the air a little bit, so that can cause you to take damage even though you feel like you're out of the way. So just be very careful on that. I was going to do a Rocky run. I'm still debating on it, but Rocky was a southpaw, so that means that he does a lot of left-handed haymakers, stuff like that, which my left hand does 1 damage, so it does even less damage, so that would make this fight even longer. Also, there are no health potions in boxing, so part of me debated on doing it without using health potions, or using health potions like every 5 minutes or something like that, depending on how long rounds run. But I'm not sure that not only that I'm good enough to do a run like that, but I'm trying to decide if that challenge is actually worth it, or if it's a little too ridiculous. But I'm not sure. It just, like, right now I'm fighting him just kind of as is. I'm not even using the plunge attack, which does 30 damage, which would give me like 15 hits worth. I'm not doing anything to get the healing potions. Just kind of fighting him straight up, which I just felt like was a little more realistic to kind of the Rocky mindset. But the other thing is like, obviously the Rocky mindset would also include a nice long training montage, which in this first area here, you can't really do any training. You can't level up, you can't boost your health, boost your dex, boost your strength, so you just kind of sit and wait. Yeah, we'll see how long this fight actually ends up being. I know I spent a couple hours the other day, just kind of working on this fight, and I did not make much progress. I got about halfway on him, which halfway is just doesn't even feel like doing much, you know what I mean? And there I got caught. So the pillars there, obviously you got to watch out for the pillars, because the pillars will catch you up and then you can't quite get behind them and hide it out. But you can see on the turn there, he also kind of gets you. You gotta be careful. Yeah. I mean, I was doing really good there, and then a couple hits later, and you're all of a sudden to the point where you're just gonna get your butt kicked. So hopefully I can kind of deal with this and see what I can do. But we're gonna mute for now until we beat it, so take a little bit of time. There we go. Demon's Great Hammer, Humanity, 2,000 souls, and first challenge completed. Fists only, getting the first boss done. Question is, did I need to do it? I don't know. For this challenge, I felt like it was kind of accurate. Doing it without heals, doing it fists only and stuff like that felt kind of like a rocky playthrough, so let me know what you think. Leave a comment, subscribe, and we'll see where this run takes us. Thank you all for watching, and catch you in the next one.